I had the opportunity to speak with President Trump yesterday afternoon in an exclusive interview for Telemundo. We covered a lot of ground, but we began with DACA, the policy protecting immigrants brought to this country illegally as children. It's a policy the president has tried to end, but he now tells me he will help dreamers become U.S. citizens. So that's as an executive order, not as a congressional bill.
If you look at the Supreme Court ruling, they gave the president tremendous powers when they said that you could take in this case, 700,000 or so people. Right. So they gave powers. Based on the powers that they gave, I'm going to be doing an immigration bill. One of the aspects of the bill that you'll be very happy with and that a lot of people will be, including me and a lot of Republicans, by the way, will be DACA. We'll give them a road to citizenship.
When is this going to be
I would say over the next 4 weeks.
After our interview aired, the White House put out a statement saying they were, quote, working on an executive order to establish a merit-based immigration system to further protect U.S. workers that would not include amnesty. I also asked him about the coronavirus surge in the South and West. You have called yourself a wartime president. Is the United States losing the war against COVID?
No, we're winning the war, and we have areas that flamed up, and they're going to be fine over a period of time. But unfortunately, we had this plague sent in from China, and it's a disgrace that they didn't stop it in China. They should have stopped it. I put the ban up. If we didn't put the ban, it would have been much worse. If we didn't do a closure, we would have had millions of deaths instead of where we are right now. But it's far too many. One is far too many. But our testing is far superior to anybody's. So we've now tested almost 45 million people, and that's helping greatly. But it flared up in areas where they thought it was ending, and that would be Florida, Texas, a couple of other places. And they're going to have it under control very quickly.
Mr. President, Vanessa Guillen, Army soldier, immigrant. Have you heard of her?
I have, yes. Yes, I have.
She was killed.
That's right.
She was in an Army base in Texas.
Yeah.
Is there something that you could do to have more transparency in the way the armed forces investigate sexual harassment and sexual abuse?
Well, we're going to look at that I saw that on the news the other day, and I thought it was terrible, and I gave specifically orders. I want to know everything about it. They're going to be reporting to me on Monday about it, and I'll be able to release something to you at that time. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was absolutely horrible.
And the president says that executive order on immigration will come in the next few weeks. You can see the entire interview with President Trump at Telemundo.com.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.